The Australian budgerigar is one of the world's most nomadic and social birds. They roam over most of the continent, including some of the hottest and driest deserts. Budgies travel in flocks. They can cruise at 90 kilometres an hour and have the endurance to cover vast areas in search of food and water. Budgies can survive weeks without water. When they do drink, it's quick. They often drink on the wing because at the waterhole they're exposed to predators. About a quarter of Australia's birds are nomadic, moving in response to the climate in a search for the best that the land can offer. Such a clutter of birds at the waterhole brings out the hunters. A whistling kite scans the mob for any slow individual. The climate of arid Australia is one of the most erratic on Earth. Years may pass with scarcely any rain at all. When drought is severe and widespread, life is such a struggle that young budgies wouldn't survive. At times like these, budgerigars cease breeding to wait for the day the rains return. One day, drought breaks. Creek beds that have been dry sand for years become raging rivers in minutes. Water not soaked up into the desert sands may flow for 1,000 kilometres or more. For 10 years, this part of Western Australia was vast, dry plains. Now, it's a 2,500 square kilometre lake, the result of flooding from monsoonal rains. Lake Gregory, as it's now known, will have a life of 5, maybe 10 years. Nomadic water birds are quick to find the new lake. Fish life appears, and within weeks, water birds home in. For the budgies, it's an opportunity not to be missed. Though budgerigars live in the desert, they try to avoid its extremes. They follow creek beds to find Lake Gregory. Everything they need is here. The water will last for a long time, and Spinifex grass seed will provide food for months to come. Budgies arrive in flock after flock. The zebra finch, an Australian native bird, is also a popular pet. Unlike budgerigars, they need water often and wet their whistles every hour or so. Zebra finches are one of the quickest birds in the world to breed after rain. Within hours of a good cloudburst, they start mating and nest building. Budgerigars are quick to follow and are soon inspecting trees for a good home. The early birds get the hollows out of reach of predators on the ground. But there are also threats from falcons. Budgerigar society is made up of loose colonies, and there are no arguments over territory. Most suitable trees are occupied by more than one couple. It's a competitive market for home seekers. Cockatiels are busy looking. So too are tree martins, who like budgie-size apartments. There's less competition from galahs and pink cockatoos, who prefer much larger homes. With a nest established, the budgerigars turn their attentions to each other. The male tries to impress his chosen partner by regurgitating food. This shows his potential as a provider for the family. Then, with head-bobbing foreplay, they begin to mate. Budgerigars breed quickly. In the wild, this is vital for the survival of the species. Lake Gregory is an ideal environment for the tough bush budgies, and they're making the most of it. Females are now producing their first clutch of about 4 to 6 eggs. The mother stays on the nest, brooding the eggs, which start hatching in just under 3 weeks. The male's role is to find food for the family. Their favourite is grass seed, which they gobble till their crops are full. The mother constantly looks after the newborn chicks, only leaving the nest to receive food from her mate. Some females rarely venture out, preferring to be fed in the safety of the hollow. It's the chicks' turn, and their mother regurgitates food to them. Budgerigars are now at their most vulnerable. They must attend their helpless young, and predators are a constant threat. The best hollows are high in the trees, but they were the first to be occupied. Some birds had no choice but to nest near the ground. Woma pythons can easily find nests like these. The instinct of budgerigars is to cheat death by creating an abundance of life. This species survives through sheer weight of numbers. So, while conditions are good, they breed as fast as they can. Budgerigars lay eggs over a period of time, so the chicks in one nest are all at different stages of growth. Parents can give liquid food to the very young and at the same time solids to the bigger ones. Older and bolder now, juveniles peer from their dark birthplace into a bright world beyond. Childhood doesn't last long for a budgie. At just 3 months of age, they'll be old enough to breed. Parents soon become grandparents, but they still keep popping out eggs. The big day arrives for a young budgie. At about 4 weeks, chicks have grown tail and wing feathers and are technically ready to fly. This may well be the most dangerous day in the life of a young budgie. Living in hollows, there's no way they can test their wings to be sure they work for the first flight. Parents call to their young, encouraging them to leave the nest. After one last feed, childhood comes to an end. Most budgies escape attack, but others plunge into different dangers. This youngster lives to fly again. Generation has been added to generation, and there are now millions of budgerigars at Lake Gregory. The seed is finished, so they must now take to the wing to search the desert for ripening grasslands. When they find what they're looking for, wandering bands come together in what is one of the world's rare wildlife spectacles. When budgerigars flock, they do so in mobs that could number hundreds of thousands, maybe 1 million birds.